There we go. I have to turn off my sound, otherwise we end up with a funny echo. So welcome everybody to the studio. I missed talking to you last week. I think that is the first time in 3 years of doing these videos that I have not been able to do the video at all. I mean, usually if I it's rare that something holds me back from coming to work, but I mean, I went on vacation, but Sarah did them. And I've had conflicts before, but I've always known ahead of time. And so I've been able to get stuff done like, the Sunday night before or pre-record it for you. And that did not happen last week, you guys. Yeah, it was a rough weekend. So I'm excited that things are on the mend and I am doing better. So thank you for everybody who sent me messages. My voice still sounds bad, but I am feeling so much better. So let's talk about what's going on in week 1 of March. You ready? Going over some intro information, and then we're going to go over some stuff in housekeeping. It is week 1 of our March classes. If you didn't finish your February lessons or your February projects, it's not too late. You can absolutely sign up for a makeup on Wednesdays in Liberty or on Fridays in Platte Woods. If you're one of our big kids, if you're in our preschool classes, those times and dates are different. Just go to the makeup section on the website. But really, if you didn't get it done in February, we had weather going on, we had sickness going on, we had the beginning of the end, right? For all the school year stuff, all the band concerts and orchestra concerts and school plays. And I know there's a lot going on. So if you didn't get it done in February, it's okay. Sign up for a makeup session here in March and we'll get you all taken care of. This is kind of the beginning of the end of the school year for us as well. This is a downhill. Really, at this point, we don't take any more new drawing students for the rest of the year. We don't start new multimedia students past. If they're returners to us, I'll probably start it in April. But we don't start any new students starting in April either. It's just kind of like it's the beginning of the end, you guys. There's going to be a lot of. I'm looking at my notes. There's going to be a lot of deadlines coming your way. For art show, for junior staff, for summer, so just make sure you're watching these videos, and then if it gets confusing, reach out to me so I can help you out. We do have spring break at the end of this month for most of our students. Most of the school districts that we serve have their spring break week the 24th through the 28th. Now, some of them also have the Friday before, and they have like a half day Thursday. And so, I mean, it's kind of bumped back even a little bit earlier than that. But looking at the Monday through Friday, it's the 24th to the 28th. Our multimedia and our drawing students are still going to meet that week. So if you're like, hey, do we meet during spring break? If you were in a multimedia class or a drawing class, the answer is yes. If you were in a preschool class or a creative explorations class during that week, that's the week we took off, right? Remember, you guys are a 3-time-a-month class. And so since we have the flexibility to take it off, that's the week that we choose. Okay. We also have 5 Mondays in the month of March. So looking ahead, there are 5 Mondays. And so there's going to be a day off for everybody anytime there's 5. So that's coming up on the 31st. So if you're ever confused, you need to look at a calendar. You can go into your Sawyer account and you can actually see a class calendar that is generated just for you. So if you need instructions on how to do that, go to the For Current Students website. If you need to know where to find that, it's in the footer of every web page. It's also in your confirmation email. Send me a message if you get confused. Let's dive in. All right, so for our preschool classes this month, we're going to be looking at art that is out of this world. So we're going to read stories that deal with worlds beyond our own. We've got an Under the Sea book. We've got the Lorax, which is a fantastical world. And then we have John Clausen's The Rock from the Sky, which is, I mean, number one in my book. Like, of all the stories we read right here, this is it. Love it. So Sarah agrees with me too. Funniest book ever. A lot of dry humor. We love John Clausen. So we're going to read these books this month. We'll start with Rainbow Fish. We're going to do a lot of printmaking and we're going to do a lot of mixed media. And the reason you're going to see printmaking, even though last month was printmaking, is because originally when we opened back in 2014, the multimedia schedule for the big kids was printmaking in March and it was mixed media in February. And so the The fundamentals curriculum hasn't really changed much in the last 10 years. I mean, we tweak things a little bit, but things usually stay the same. So that's why you're going to see printmaking this month. It still works out just fine. A lot of mixed media stuff as well. So in our rainbow fish stuff, we're going to be actually carving on some of the printing foam and printing fish and putting little jewels on them to make our own rainbow fish. We'll also be making some bubble prints. Okay, there we go. All right, my K-3 multimedia classes. So these guys are going to be doing mixed media, and it is a repeat project from last year. So if you were with us last year, it is the second year of doing this project. It's our bird project. So it uses cardboard, it uses acrylic paint, and it uses anything else in the craft closet that we want to throw at it. So mixed medium is the month for maximalists. So if you are if you or your children are they're like more is more and more is better, then mixed media is the month for you. So we're gonna be making these like dimensional collages out of cardboard. They'll paint them with acrylic paints. So wear old clothes this week because that'll be the week that we're doing acrylics. We'll get them assembled. Some of them will be hot glued, some of them will be done with brads so that it has movable parts. And then we add details with chalk pastels, and then we add the pom-poms, the feathers, the glitter, the ribbon, the yarn, the sequins, the gems, the glitter, like, I mean, fun stuff, wild and crazy birds. So I hope that they enjoy those. It was probably our favorite project of all last year. So we're excited to see it again. The goal for this project, and you're going to hear me say this in every single one of the multimedia kind of sections in this video, our goal is to finish it in 3 weeks. We know we have spring break week at the end of that month and into this month. And so we're going to try to finish our project in just 3 weeks. So that way in the 4th week, we can do mixed media stations. We can do kind of some bonus stuff. We can, give them all the supplies and let them make whatever they want. So they'll have that kind of freedom. It'll also give us that week. I'm going to talk about it a little bit in housekeeping, but it'll give us that week to help with some art show submissions. All right, 4th and 5th grade. So it is also mixed media month for our 4th and 5th graders. We have a new project for them. They're going to be making jungle collages. We've done this project as a private event before, but we haven't done it in our multimedia classes. So it uses neon painted papers. So think like art of Eric Carle, if anyone's familiar with his illustrations in Hungry Caterpillar, or I'm blanking out on his other books, but most of his illustrations are done using collage, and he has painted his papers first and then collaged them into his artwork. So we're going to be kind of take inspiration from that. Henry Matisse also did that. We've got some artwork. This is the slideshow up here, kind of that they'll look at this week. But we're going to paint our own papers using the neon biocolor paints. And then next week, we'll use those papers in our jungle themed collage. The cool thing about using the fluorescent paints from biocolor is that they are UV reactive. So that means that at the end, our collages will glow under black light, which is pretty cool. I'm just making sure. I got to check my notes, you guys. It's Monday. So the goal for this project, and you're going to hear it in every multimedia section, the goal for this project is to finish in 3 weeks. We want to, we'll look at art inspiration this week. We'll start on those painted papers. Next week, we'll build that collage. And the 3rd week, we'll put our finishing touches on it. And that leaves our 4th week open for stations and art show submissions. And we also know we're going to have really low enrollment that week because of spring break. All right, in our 6th and 7th and our 12th grade, 8th through 12th grade classes, it is also mixed media month. And so they're going to be doing a project that we actually did this summer, and we're excited to bring it to the weekly classes. It was a mad dash in the summer to try to get it done in one session, so it will work better in a multiple part session since we got some dry time in between there and just more time in general. They're going to be looking at word art and typography, which is what we did last year too. We're just going to do it a little bit different this year. This year, they will be painting a brick background using acrylic paint, so kind of a faux finish using sponges and scrapers, and we'll create a brick background. And then their second layer will be done with Sharpies, quick sticks, and liquid washable watercolors that mimic spray paint. So it has kind of a graffiti look to it. They will choose a word, they will choose a font or a typography, handwritten to decorate. And then those two pieces get collaged out. Their project is big, and I think this is the first time that they've gotten to work big. It seems like for the past 5, 6, 7 months that their projects have all been the small ones. Now they'll go big. So they're going to be on 18 by 24-inch poster size pieces of paper. So it'll be significantly bigger than what they've been working on. They will also try to finish in 3 weeks. So we'll look at the slideshow this week. We'll get the backgrounds, like the bricks painted. And that'll be a lot to get done in week 1. And then in weeks 2 and 3, we're going to get the second layer done. So they'll get it hopefully drawn out and at least sprayed, because that's the wettest step. So we'll spray it in week 2. And then in week 3, we'll try to get it all cut out and put together. Again, that's just a goal. When we have 4 weeks, we try to get it done in 3 weeks. That gives us our 4th week for art show submissions. Any like random finishing touches, of course, could also be done in week 4, and then some mixed media stations. Creative explorations, you guys, your whole, like all your stations shift. So let's talk about what they're going to be. So we're going to have painted paper collage against the throwback to Eric Carle and Henry Matisse. Our art history focus is Henry Matisse. We've got a collaborative vertical surface. This is painting with long sticks. Also a throwback to Matisse for anyone who knows your art history. He was bedridden in the later stages of his life, and he would lay on his back with a long stick and paint on his ceiling. So we're going to be doing that. The still life invitation, we've got faux flowers and bugs kind of leaning towards spring. The journal invitation, we've got a ton of Eric Carle books here in the studio. We're going to get those out and put them in the journal section, like journal area, so that we can make entries in our journal that are inspired by his stories and by his illustrations. And then kind of our last thing here, and this was a hit last year. As a matter of fact, I think our collaborative art from this section is still hanging up in the Liberty studio, is paper strips and staplers. And so it's really an open-ended invitation, but last year they made some pretty cool paper chains. For all the drawing classes, so this right here, this is the slide for all drawing classes. We're not going to have it divided up into sections. I got to drink some coffee just a sec. Take a breath, try not to cough. It'll be okay. So we're going to have all of our drawing classes doing the same thing this month. This is the one time that the drawing classes will work to finish a piece of art. Remember, especially for our drawing 101s, especially for our drawing 102s, the goal is never finished art in these classes. We're doing lessons, we're doing exercises. The stuff we see in the sketchbook should be rough. It should be working through problems. It's not a showcase. It's just us learning, getting better. This month is the exception. So this month is when we give our artists a chance to create something from start to finish that they want to create under the guidance of their instructors with the art supplies that we have here at Orange Easel, in the hopes that that is what they want to submit to the art show. Now, if they decide that this is not, that number one, maybe they don't want to submit anything to the art show, that's okay. We're still going to work on a showcase piece, which is what we call it. We call it a showcase. It's just something to show what you have been learning, right? So show us your best work. So if you don't want to enter it in the art show, that's okay, and we'll make sure to tell them that. The other thing I'll say is, if they are like, I wanted to make a watercolor painting for my art show piece, then they're gonna have to do that outside of class, because this is drawing class. So in drawing class, when we're working on showcase pieces, these are gonna be all the drawing medium. So everything we've used in drawing class so far. So your graphite pencils, your charcoal pencils, your compressed charcoal, your Sumi ink, your microns, your alcohol ink markers, your regular markers, your colored pencils, your chalk pastels, your oil pastels. Like, those are all the drawing media that we have used, and so that will be open and available to them. They'll be working on kind of a 9 by 12 scale, and we have mat boards for them to finish their showcase pieces with. For my bigger kids, my 103 classes, if they say, I want to work on a scale that's different than that, I want to work on 18 by 24, I want to work on 4 by 5, like, we will invest in finishing for that as well. So we'll give them the option of working on different scales, but for the 101s and 102s, we'll work on the standard kind of 9 by 12. And I already have all the mat boards ordered and in studio for them. So they've got 4 weeks to create a drawing. That means that's either 4 hours or 6 hours, depending on the class that they are in, to complete one drawing for their showcase. This first week, all of the classes will be brainstorming. They'll be brainstorming, they'll be sketching. We're going to look at some finished drawings that we have around the studio. One of the challenges of drawing is that oftentimes it is seen only as a beginning step to a painting, or the beginning step to a sculpture, or the beginning step to something in a different media. And drawing throughout history has not been seen as finished art. And so we're gonna learn about that. And then we'll look at some of the drawings we have around the studio that are finished art and talk about the attributes that they have. What are the characteristics of a finished piece of art, in terms of composition, in terms of how we deal with foreground, midground, background, in terms of, like just finishing touches. So we're going to talk through that with them. We're going to brainstorm all the different options that they have for subject matter, for composition, we'll talk about the media choices that they have. And then by the end of the class period, they should have a good idea of what they're going to do, because in week 2, we're going to start on that. So we'll give them out their final piece of paper. And we say that final piece of paper, but it's not special paper, you guys. It's just a standard drawing paper. So, but we'll give that to them, and then they'll start on that. If they have to start over, that's okay too. So, so it's a really fun month. It's fun for them to get to finish something. It's fun for us to get to see, kind of what they're passionate about and what they want to make. And then, but yeah, our goal for this month for them is that, again, we're pretty much done in 3 weeks. And that way in week 4, we can work with them on their artist statements. In the multimedia classes at the end of every month, they fill out a tag for their finished art, because multimedia classes finish piece of art every month. They fill out a tag that has basically what you would put in a gallery. So it has the name of your art, of the title of the piece, your name. It has the date of creation. It has the dimensions of the piece, and then it has what's called an artist statement. And so that's where we as an artist tell people about our art. What do we want people to know when they're looking at it? It could be anything. And so, so our multimedia students have had practice with that every month, but our drawing students have not. And so for most of them, this will be the first time doing that. So that gives us the 4th week to really work through that. So they'll get that written out and then tagged on the back of their piece. The other thing that we'll do in that 4th week, similar to what we talked about with the multimedia kids, is we will work to get art show submissions done in class. And when we get to housekeeping, we're going to talk more about that and what that looks like. That is new this year to us, but it's something that I feel like might be helpful to our families. So, okay. I gotta check my notes and make sure that I'm still good. Okay, there we go. Let's move along to housekeeping. Speaking of which. All right, so Studio Club members, don't forget your registration for summer is now open. Thank you to everybody who was super patient with me on Friday. I was on a lot of cold medicine, and I had a moment where I was like, it's not gonna work. Oh my gosh. And it turns out it was just user error on my part. So it totally worked. I sent everybody, a lot of people anyway, a spreadsheet of all the links, because I was worried that I was gonna have to pull everything off the website, and then like open the links publicly, but only give you the links was what I thought I was gonna have to do. Turns out I did not. So for those of you who got the spreadsheet, the links are still they're still the same links that are on the website. So you can totally register off the spreadsheet if you'd like. But I didn't actually need to do that. So thanks for putting up with me. It's working now. So for those of you who are not Studio Club members, that's okay. Just wait 12 more days, and then it's open for you guys. Right now, like some people were really, really nervous, like, oh my gosh, it's gonna fill up. Nothing is full. Nothing is full. You're good. It's okay. And nothing has ever filled during early registration. So if you're not a Studio Club member and you're thinking nothing is going to be available by the time I get to it, that is incorrect. Okay, it's going to be all right. All right, Student Art Show, we are going to talk just a little bit about this. I created a web page, and I'm going to show it to you here in just a second. There's a ton of information on it. There's information about where it is, the address, what to expect when you get there. There's information about the submission process, when the submission process starts, and most importantly, when the submission process ends. That is a hard deadline, you guys. We're not taking anything after that, so don't miss that deadline. And then there's a rubric at the bottom where we talk about the awards and stuff like that. It's all on the webpage. So the submissions are beginning early this year. And again, I'm going to show you the webpage, but as soon as I do, then it pulls me off and I don't like that. So it's going to begin on March 24th. In the past, we've waited until April to start submissions. And that was maybe a little bit like clunky is a good word for it. Because you would, like, especially for my drawing kids, right? So we've got 150 drawing kids who finish these showcase pieces in the month of March, and we send them home with you and then tell you bring them back on April 1st and we'll start submissions. And so after we have staff meetings, you guys, regularly, and we talk about like, okay, how could we do this better? And this was one of the things that we talked about last year was maybe don't send it home. So we're going to start at that 4th week of March and start collecting artwork from you guys. Now, the submission process is twofold. It includes getting us your artwork, because that's really important, but also filling out the online submission form. So we're going to have, we've got, both studios have laptops, both studios have tablets, and then of course all the instructors have phones. But your instructors will be there in that 4th week for you guys. We'll try to get the art show submissions done in class. So that way, for my parents out there that I know uploading files was tricky. For some of you had trouble with the Google form. Like, this way we can just do it in class. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you so you guys can see that web page. Hang on. I know how to do this. I have to stop. Share screen. I found it. Okay. I think. What screen is it? That one. Okay, I found it. Here we go. All right, so this is my, you should be seeing my webpage. This is the art show screen that you can go to. We're going to link it in the notes, like the Cliff Notes for this video. We'll also link it on the email that you get, kind of underneath the important links. If you go to the webpage, it's not in the upper headers, but you can always search for it here. Do you guys know that? There's a search feature on our website. You can always search for it here. But this is our art show. And it'll talk a little bit about it. Everybody's invited for one piece, just one, not two. Back in like 2017, 18, we let you put 2 in, but we're too big now, so everybody gets one. The event dates are here. It's the 27th. It's at the Belvoir again. One of the things that changed from last year, for those of you who came last year, is we actually have 2 spaces on the lower floor and 1 space on the upper floor. So we'll be spread out quite a bit. Hopefully that helps with some bottlenecks. It is an open house kind of style, so come and go. You're welcome to stop by anytime. The busiest time will be right at the beginning. It'll be like right when we start will be the busiest. We do plan to have some presentations kind of sprinkled throughout the night in the different spaces where we recognize different artists. It will not be recognizing the award winners. So we're going to get to the awards where we give out ribbons for specific art. That is not what we're going to recognize. We're going to recognize people like our junior staff members who work or volunteer with us in the summer, who are students. We want to recognize maybe some of our students who are graduating high school, or just some of that. So we're going to recognize some of them. And we're still planning that program, but as soon as we have it, it'll be posted here to the webpage so you can see that. The submission process is here. So right here in the middle, talks about the submission. You're going to fill out your online submission form and drop this art off at the studio. So you got 2 parts. Again, hopefully for a lot of you, we get this done in the 4th week of classes. But if you're maybe traveling that week, or maybe you're in a drawing class, but you want to submit something that you created outside of drawing class, so you're not going to do the submission in drawing class, like that's okay. You can do this on your own. You don't have to do it in class. We're just offering that this year. The deadline is Friday, April 11th, and that's a hard deadline. So as we get closer to that date and time, we are not open until midnight on the 11th. We are not open all hours on the 11th. So if you're like, I'm going to wait and do it the last day, you better find out when we're open that day, or don't wait till the last day. Also good. Here's our online submission form. You'll see it says begins March 24th. If you click this right now, it just pops up an error message. I put this here. This is last year's show. I'm sure that, what was the Shine Gypsies, I think, did this for us. We're going to have them do it again. They did such a good job. All right, art show recognition. So we are a judged show. We're not a juried show. We're not a curated show, but we are a judged show. So we give out first, second, and third places. We also give out a best of show. And all of the categories are listed here below. So when your artists submit their art, they will select a category that they want it to go into. So you can see them listed below, as well as like some descriptions. Again, we will help them with that if they're doing it inside like the classes. And then you can see the rubric. So the instructors are the ones who judge. So all of our instructors judge the show. We get together, we like divide up all of the art based on category, then we divide it up based on age, and then we lay it out and have amazing discussions about and man, I wish you could hear like how much some of our, I mean, we fight for you. It is something we take very seriously, and it is like we get really into justifying why we think certain pieces should be ranked in certain ways. And you know what I'd love that the kids could see is how divided we are sometimes, right? Because everything is subjective, and we put different emphases on things. So it always is a really good discussion. We also this year will have honorable mentions, and so we'll, especially for those categories that have tons and tons and tons of entries, and they become very competitive. And so we will have some honorable mention stickers for those that are like, ah, man, you mean really good, but just you're graded against your peers. So, all right. Anyways, and so that's what's happening for the art show. Again, nothing you need to do right now, but keep in mind, March 24th is when everything kind of starts, okay? And then the last thing I will put up here is junior staff, which is also coming up. So if you have a student who is fifth grade, like finishing fifth grade this year, they're going to go to middle school next year, and they are an Orange Easel student, they can apply to be on the junior staff. There's also a web page for that. So I finally got that rebuilt. There's always been a web page, but remember back in the fall when the web page like, woo, and everything crashed and I had to rebuild it all. That was a page I hadn't rebuilt. So I finally got it rebuilt. And so there's a place you can go for junior staff. The the application, again, there's a button. It's like apply here, but it doesn't actually open until the 15th. So we'll take those, we'll interview, and then we'll get you out like an availability and a work schedule. For those of my artists who are returning staff, so you've been here before, you've volunteered before, you've been on junior staff, there is a button on the webpage for you to fill out your availability. And I believe that is not open yet. I think it also opens on the 15th. So it might even be later than that, but there's a date under it that says when it opens. So you can fill out your availability, and that will help us to write our work schedule. A little bit different this year for my junior staff members because we don't have camps in June, right? The camps are just July and August. There are classes in June, and there are mini camps. And so if you're interested in helping with those, the availability form just looks a little bit different. Okay. All right. That is everything I have on my notes, you guys. So that is a lot. Like I said, there's going to be a ton of deadlines. It feels like from here on out, I'm just throwing dates at you. And I will try to give you plenty of notice and plenty of reminders. I know we've got like handouts about the art show to give out in class. So just, and I also know, I understand that we are not your only place that your kids are involved in, right? So we are not your only for a lot of you. We've got lots of other things going on, and everybody else is busy too. So if you get confused or if you need help, let me know. Yeah, I think that's it. So I hope everybody has a great week, and I will see you in the studio.